Yo,
We
we live?
here?
I think we're live.
Oh wow.
I think we're live. How's everybody doing out there?
What's going on, internet?
This is Aight, so boom. And we're coming to you even faster than ever
Oh yeah.
because it's
Live.
just a crazy day. So much has happened.
Oh man.
The world is in shambles. No one knows where to turn.
Yeah.
We're just all so confused
Yeah.
and excited.
Yeah.
Loki episode 6, the finale happened today, or depending on what coast you're on, 3 o'clock in the morning for us. Wow.
That's all I can say.
Wow.
Episode's done. Wow.
Yeah. So, how you feel, man?
Let's get back into it. I mean, as I could say, just off the top, this episode was the best season finale, and it made up and answered a lot of questions I had.
Mm-hmm.
It made up for a lot of the slower episodes. Everything that I was kind of complaining about, to me, this episode, it redeemed itself and then some.
So we start out in the episode. Man, where did it begin? I don't even.
It actually begins with a very interesting montage of voices.
Yeah.
And scenes.
A lot of black voices in there. I was speaking.
Yeah, from Maya Angelou to Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
Greta Thunberg, the young lady from Europe.
Right.
Environmental advocate.
So
it blended from a lot of Marvel familiar sayings that we know.
Mm-hmm.
Wakanda forever. And
at first it was all these Marvel sayings, and I was like, oh, that's new. They never did that before with audio to it. And then I was like, oh wait, they're still going.
And they led that into the show, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
To show the different timelines and going from breaking into that. And the visuals, of course, you're seeing multiple timelines. You're seeing timelines being fractured and torn apart. So that as an intro already, you got me. Already, I was already like, this is something special happening. Are we getting into it, yo? Are we getting into it?
Yeah, let's get into it, man.
So, boom! Essentially, what happened is we're in this little time area, the Citadel.
Yes.
At the end of time. And of course, you and I know He Who Remains is the one that essentially in the comic books is who they're leading to, right? So they're walking through the Citadel. Of course, Sylvie gets a little cold feet at first, which is cute considering her story. And the Loki kind of coaxes her inside. They get inside.
Very interesting that she was like, I don't know, she's having these feelings standing outside. Like, I've been waiting all my life for this. And he's like, hey, man, we got this. This is what we came for. This is what we're doing. Mm-hmm. Don't worry. I got you. I got your back.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Which is important.
Yeah.
That's important.
Sylvie pissed me off. And go ahead.
What pissed you off?
I'm saying Sylvie. She just, whatever.
Like that moment?
No, not there, but later on.
Okay. So, yeah. So they get inside, and who do they see but Miss Minutes?
Yeah, Miss Minutes is waiting for them. Like, as soon as they open the door, she's like, "Hey, what's up, guys?
Right.
Haven't seen y'all in a while."
And we know that Miss Minutes knows more than probably everybody at this point, from who we know, because even Renslayer, or Ravona's coming to her for files on her origins. So she obviously has more information than everybody,
for sure.
So she's here at the Citadel, kind of going back and forth with them. And trying to offer them a deal. Mm-hmm. I thought about you because you had mentioned last time that Loki would be offered with a choice.
Right. He had to have the opportunity to be presented with everything that he wants, and then had to in order for his story arc to go full circle, he had to be able to turn that stuff down.
Right.
An interesting thing was we kept seeing Loki walk down these golden steps like a King Loki in all the trailers. Never happened.
Oh wow. Okay.
And there was a trailer that came out after episode 5, where you heard this dark, ominous voice talking to them. Complete fabrication.
I have to see that trailer. What did it say? Did it say anything specific?
It was like she's you know, it was a deep voice, like, so you've made it here, and blah blah blah, this, that, and the other. You know,
man.
Yeah, I love that though.
Misdirection is a huge part of this episode, in this series, as we're coming to find out.
For sure.
They lied to us, but thank you for lying, because we nerds are pretty rabid.
Yeah, man, we'll ruin everything.
We'll ruin everything
if you give us a chance.
If we knew Jonathan Majors was in this at all, it would have been ruined.
Yeah.
And the moment I had to this morning watching it, which I enjoyed thoroughly, it wouldn't have happened.
That's what I was saying before, man. Like, yo, I love that we come in here and speculate about it, but I don't want to know. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hate when the toys, like, if they could put some type of, like, barrier on the like, you can't put out the toys, and if you or advertise the toys before the movie comes out. I don't want to know that stuff.
Toys makes too much money.
I don't want to know that Spider-Man has mystic powers in the new Spider-Man movie, 5 months before the movie drops.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. But now Miss Minutes offers Loki a very detailed deal, pretty much giving him everything that we've seen him fail to do in the past. Yeah. Literally, you can kill Thanos. You can take over New York. Right. You can get the Infinity Stones. Like, she pretty much laid out the most beautiful.
And you can have Sylvie. Whatever you want. We don't care.
We were like,
we're gonna tuck you in some timeline where you get everything you want. You can't bother nobody.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Which, it sounds deceptive, but honestly, on their level, they don't care. They really don't care. It's not like your power doesn't affect them at all. It's just staying in your time, staying in your lane. That's really all they ask. So, so I was like, yo, Blitz definitely called that. We go back to the TVA, and we have this little scene with Ravonna and Mobius. Where Mobius is pretty much just shows up, you thought I was pruned, how you like me now, and Ravonna kind of plays it off like, hey, I thought you'd survive. Right. If anybody would survive, it'll be you. Right. Which is just funny. But no, they have that little moment where, they're kind of tussling back and forth with their morals and values, and Ravonna's like, I kind of need to end this. I need to find out what's going on here.
Well, her thing for me was I don't know everything, but it can't all be for nothing. So I have to still go with the motions, or it's. I feel like you see this in religion a lot, right? Like, where somebody is like, I don't have all the answers, and I don't understand why these other things are happening, but I can't have prayed to this God for all of these years for nothing. So I'm just going to not look over here and continue praying to this God. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She has. She knows that she's been doing this for a reason. And even if she doesn't understand who exactly was going on with the Timekeepers, she believes in the work of the TVA. Right. To the end.
Yes. And she continues to go with the narrative, like, if we don't have this organization, then there'll be chaos, right? But she doesn't know that for certain. She doesn't know.
She's seen enough to kind of give her that belief.
Yeah,
for the TVA, that's all they know.
But that's what everything is, right? It's believing in something, whether you know it to be true or not.
Right. And then Miss Minutes and her have a little powwow where Miss Minutes reveals that she's working for someone specific. She's like, he. She says he, right? Ravonna's like, this is not the files I asked for. Yeah. And she's like, well, this is what he wanted you to know. Right.
he thought this was better. Just take this.
Pimp-ish right there. Yeah. This is what you get. This is the information you get. So pretty much we go back to the Citadel. And this is where the two Loki.
What is it called in the comic books? The Chronopolis?
The Chronopolis, yeah.
Chronopolis? Okay, got it.
Chronopolis. Yeah. But yeah, they didn't use that term here. But and the Chronopolis, this is what we saw in the Ant-Man movie, right?
I mean, we can't say that for certain. there was no like pullback to show us, oh, this looks exactly like that city or whatever. I always thought that the TVA was that city.
Because it looked more like a city than this.
Yeah, this just looked like one building, you know. But when we saw Ant-Man and you saw that little city, it looked more like what we see from the windows of the TVA to me.
Yeah.
You know,
that may be a Quantumania moment.
Yeah,
we kind of revisit that.
Yeah, that would be where to put it, right? In an Ant-Man movie for sure.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so they're in the Citadel, armed to the tooth. They both got their blades, and they approach this little door. And this is where you and I, I'm sure you and I like, are they gonna show this person now?
Hold on. If you have not seen Loki episode 6 yet, right? I'm just telling you, spoiler alert.
All over this.
It's all over. Look, mad people just left. They're like, oh no, I gotta go watch it. Come back when you've seen it.
Come Just pause.
Right.
Of course, like I said, you and I were like, are they going to reveal this entity here? Is this so early in the episode? You know, I was like, is this another misdirect?
It's like minute 2 or 3, and they go right for it.
It's the first 10 minutes of the episode.
Yeah.
Credits and everything. So they open up this rock door, and who do we see, Blitz? Who do we see? Tell them.
Mr. Jonathan Majors.
Mr. Lovecraft Country himself. Mr. Last Man of San Francisco himself. Jonathan Majors, who we've known for a year at least, that he was casted to play Kang.
Kang the Conqueror in the MCU. It's amazing.
As a black nerd, you know, there were so many levels of enjoyment of this moment.
That was a moment. Like, I was like, they did it. They put, you know, who we can assume is the main villain for the next few.
Oh, he's
the Thanos of you know the next phase into an MCU television show before the movies. That's amazing.
That's very amazing, and we're gonna have a lot more to discuss with that because you know Kevin Feige did say you could watch the films without this. So we got to see how that can make sense.
I mean, I'm sure you can, but it won't be as enjoyable. It's not
exactly.
Yeah,
they're definitely leading you. So, bro, this is what we get into Kang.
This is he who remains, right?
Yeah.
It's He Who Remains is the only name they give him in the show. I didn't look at the credits, so I don't know if they actually gave him, you know, a different name. But this version of Kang was only spoken to as He Who Remains.
Yes.
You know.
And that's important. If you're listening to this, you're not familiar with the character. I mean, if you've seen the episode, you know now. I mean, there are different versions. And this is what I'm very happy that we'll get into how they broke it down, but I love the way they explain the Kang story.
Mm-hmm.
Because it gives us, because understand they explain things in the Kang story that even comic book readers didn't know about Kang until that was revealed later.
Right.
So they're kind of pulling it back, getting all the layers out.
Yeah. And
then kind of showing us, you know, that we will be seeing different versions of this character.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Kang jumps out, and Kang comes out eating an apple. Did you catch that?
He was eating an apple.
Anytime in Marvel they want to show a representation of time, they use an apple.
Really?
In time in Doctor Strange, the first Doctor Strange. Remember when he first got the amulet?
Yes.
The time stone? What was the first thing he did?
Yeah, he decayed an apple and
then brought it back in time.
You're right.
They definitely correlate an apple with time. There's another time they use it too. I'm drawing a blank.
Pretty cool.
But yeah, the apple is a little symbol, a little prop symbol, symbolism there. But he comes out, you know, and I mean, it's hard to separate his scenes from just his sheer acting skill. But they're in this little elevator, and he's obviously, you can't kill him because, you know, he's over here bouncing off the time.
Yeah. You know, it's very interesting just in seeing him, and he's like, some guys, you know, like that type of thing.
Yeah.
And every time you've seen Kang in the comic books, right? He's always very stoic, very, you know, pompous, and you know, you assume that he talks like this, and you know, I rule the, you know, the timeline, blah blah. And this guy is not that at all. You know what I mean?
I mean, this is a lofty prediction, but I do believe this is the Kang with the most personality we're gonna see.
You know, I think, as Lauren is saying here.
Hey, Lauren.
I think that Jonathan Majors, the reason that they cast him is because he's such a great actor that we're going to get so many different facets of this person, you know, of this being.
Yes.
This one seems to have been at the end of time by himself for so long that he's a little loopy. He's kind of all over the place, kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
One that is closer to Kang proper from the 31st century may be completely different, you know, and we'll get into it, but he's scared of himself.
Yeah.
So the other ones may be like just completely different and terrifying.
Listen, one thing I know, I've predicted, you know, and we've predicted these things down the line when there's a casting for a character and we know the character, we can kind of gather from knowing who the actor is, how it's going to, you know, be filled.
Yeah.
Tiana Paris as Monica Rambeau, that excited me to know, and nothing close to this, but that excited me because I was like, okay, she's going to fill this role. What this man is going to do.
Bruce,
that's my man!
I was just about to say that I felt the same way. It was like, yo, this is Richard Pryor in The Wiz.
My man Bruce, I hit him up asking him if he saw this episode, and he hit me up with that information.
Yeah,
Richard Pryor from The Wiz.
I felt the same way. Bruce. You know, and that's so cool that he pulled from another black actor who played the man behind the curtain.
Because it's so Wizard of Oz. Yeah. This whole thing is Wizard of Oz. Look at the timekeepers. Everything is Wizard of Oz.
Right.
The parallels are just sickening with how they kind of parallel those two.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know. He's like, you know, some people say I'm this, some people say I'm that. You know, they establish that you can't kill him. And pretty much he goes into presenting them with the proposition of taking over the TVA.
Right.
Right? You can kill me, right? And then let let the streams go crazy. Or you can take control of the TVA, both of you, king and queen, and stop all the drama, and then you'll have everything you want.
Right.
So... interesting proposal. I myself didn't know what they were going to do. You know what I'm saying? I was like, wait, are they going to end this thing with them being the king, the queen of the TVA?
Yeah.
Or some Conan shit? Like, that kind of ran through my mind. I don't know what you were thinking.
Could be interesting. Lauren says she felt like he was pulling from Ben Vereen, slipping in and out of accents. That's true. Maybe because I'm thinking Vereen as the wizard in Wicked. I never saw Wicked with Ben Vereen.
Ben Vereen was the wizard in Wicked?
You know, if that's the case, then he was probably pulling from both. He probably, you know, knowing that the script and everything was getting inspiration from, you know, a Oz type story.
Yeah.
Maybe he pulled from both. I did hear him kind of like slipping in and out of accents, though. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, I mean, casting is casting, man, and they definitely nailed it. There's a little moment with we actually slipped to after this scene, and we go through Mobius and Ravonna. We kind of went through that, what they were talking about. We actually slipped through to B-15. B-15 is leading some of the time cops to Ohio, right? In 2018.
Yes.
Where we meet Ravonna.
Right.
Her real self.
Yeah.
2018. Now her helmet had said A23. Remember?
Yes.
When she was an enforcer, when she was a time cop.
Right.
So I mean, the theory that I had was that the date is the date that they were kind of taken and maybe, I mean, it's a theory.
I thought that correlated to a comic book.
It did. A23 right? was Avengers 23.
Right.
Remember, like how C20, her scene was in 2019. So my guess was maybe this event happened in 2020.
Perhaps.
I mean, you know, well, we may never know. Maybe
so B-15, you know, the other hunter comes in and he's like, you know,
why are we here?
Judge Renslayer or whatever, right. and she's like, that's not her.
She's a teacher in a school.
Yeah, at what was
Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Franklin Roosevelt School, right? So is this the main version of her, you believe, or what?
Yeah, I believe this is who she originally is.
My question is, why did they go there? Because Mobius says, we know your secret, and then we flash to this scene, right? Yeah. So what is her secret?
Well, I think B-15 is on a mission to just free some minds here.
So you think that her point of doing that was to show these other hunters that they were variants?
Variants, period.
Okay.
That's the best way to do it. Take them to the source.
What do you guys think about that scene? Let me know.
You know, they took him straight to Renslayer. No one else, because Renslayer is the boss. Mm-hmm. So if you could show this variant, you know, that can pretty much, from what she's saying, kind of, you know,
show that you're all variants.
That's it. I don't have time to explain everything, guys.
Right,
Just come here real quick. Let me show you something.
That makes sense.
And even through it, so we see Renslayer. She's a teacher at this high school. So we kind of figure out that's part of her story. We don't know when she got clipped, how. We don't know that yet.
Lauren, that's interesting. If she has that pen, you have to assume that she has been visiting her timeline or visiting one of her timelines to maybe like look at her real life. Maybe
I don't know. She's somebody. They keep momentum. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah,
because we all thought that it was tied to Mobius.
Sounds like something that might be established and further plotted out in
season 2.
Season 2.
We're back. Right. Out of time. No, so we go back to, this is the scene. We're back with Kang. I don't want to call him Kang now.
Right.
We're back with Jonathan Majors and the Lokis. Mm-hmm. And pretty much this is where he lets them know that he knows everything that's going to happen.
Right.
He has, you remember the TVA has the printed word. Well, sign here. What? Sign here. He has all of that information with him.
Yeah.
So he's able to
up to the minute that they're even talking about right now. He's like, oh, right. He pulls out a paper and is like, you just said that. I already know. So I've already set my his what is the chrono? What you call it?
The tempad.
Tempad. He's already set the tempad to have the right steps to avoid them if they try to kill him, because he knows all of this has happened already.
Bro, like Bruce, I know you're in here. Like every time he spoke, man, like I wanted to be able to just rewind time again, you know, because his performance I had to see again.
Yeah.
Then because my favorite part of the episode, I believe, is when he was really starting to explain the whole timeline thing. But we'll get there in a second. Ravonna and Mobius have another moment where pretty much they're about to fight. Mobius kind of threatens her, like, listen, I'm gonna take you down, kind of thing. Ravonna puts him on his ass pretty quickly.
She's like, you're no threat to me. He's like, we'll see about that. Right. And he tries it and it didn't work out.
And he's pretty much like, yeah, you put me on my ass. Because he's like, listen, maybe we can build this TVA thing together and do it right. There are a lot of collaborations trying to happen, but no, she leaves through a portal because she's pretty much like the only one who has free will out here is the one in charge. The one here making a decision is the only one with free will. Yeah. Because I'm now learning I don't have free will. Right. I'm over here following I don't even know what.
Yeah.
So Ravonna leaves through a portal.
Yeah.
Where do you think she's going?
Man, I don't know.
Keep in mind that's her. That's Kang's love interest. So how is and when is that going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe season 2, or maybe within. I wouldn't say that's going to happen in the movie, honestly.
No doubt.
I would think that storyline would continue in season 2.
You think season 2 before Quantumania?
Is season 2 before Quantumania?
I don't know how fast
what's the date? What's the date on Quantumania?
Quantumania is 2023.
But I don't know. Oh yeah, it could. It could be like end of 2022, and then Quantumania come right after. Yeah. Let's see. Ravonna is going to Kang. I don't even know if she knows Kang yet. So how could she be going to him?
She doesn't know he. You know, I can see a situation where what I can see happening is she is at this point where she is, you know, she needs to find out who this person is. I think she's gonna find a version of Kang who's like, I know who you are. You don't know who I am.
Good point, Bruce. Bruce says the question is, does she know she's a variant, and if so, why wasn't her mind wiped
at the end? Yeah.
You know, no. Why does she know who she is?
Right. At all.
Right. Perhaps that one time when she lost Sylvie and she was in the chamber, right? Because I don't know how many times she's been in the chamber with the timekeepers that we know are fake now.
Right.
Did at some point in time Kang or what's his name?
The one who remains.
The one who remains. Go to her because he found her interesting, and then give her more information, and then turn her into a judge. Because at that time she was just a hunter. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. How did she become a judge or the judge? Because we never see any other judges.
That's what I'm saying. There's a high yet. My opinion, I don't think she knows him yet. Miss Minute seems to be that force that has all that information. I don't know if Miss Minute literally promoted her. We don't know. But there's not a lot of personnel here.
Yeah, it's really weird.
But she doesn't seem to know Kang. I don't think she knows him. Yes.
You could be right.
My people's in here. Yeah, you could be. There's a lot of things that's left open.
Yeah.
As far as getting these shows together, I would be very surprised if we see Loki season 2 before Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'll be very surprised. Because you don't just throw shows together like this. They have a lot of things on their plate.
Yeah.
Marvel's not all, they have other things to do, you know? So I doubt we're going to see that.
You know, guys, we've been talking about spoilers, right? And the things that get out because there are pictures of people on the internet or filming sets and toys. It was mind-blowing to me that they were able to keep this a secret, that he was even in this show. But then, like we were talking before, I mean, they probably needed him for one day on one closed soundstage, and there was no outside shots. It was shot in one place. So, just kudos to them for being able to keep this under wraps for so long.
Yeah, and I really am under the impression that keeping a secret is easier for television than it would be for a film. You know what I mean? Like, movie sets are a little bit more open, but like you said, it's a closed set. He didn't have that. He wasn't on. He could have done that in 1 or 2 days.
I didn't even hear anybody like scouring IMDb for the name and seeing it in there. It wasn't there, right?
Wasn't there. And we spoke about this. If you follow Aight So Boom, especially last week, you and I were like, Kang either is in it. Remember, we were like frustrated. Yeah. Because they're showing in the void, they're showing remnants. We're seeing
guys, you are leading.
They're doing this like this, and we're like, he's not even casted in this thing, and you don't want to be presumptuous.
Yeah.
But they definitely did what we didn't expect, but what we wanted.
Yeah. I didn't. If we got Kang at all, I didn't think it was going to be that much Kang. I thought it would be at the very, very end.
At the end,
like for like a split second, right?
Yeah, and which I knew that I thought they were going to do that, and I was already disappointed because I don't want it, because that's like, come on, that's hokey. Now I got to wait another 2 years.
Yeah. So
doing this in the first 10 minutes, we see Jonathan Majors. You set yourself up lovely.
Yeah. So
let's get into his history, because this is where he explains his past.
Sure.
And I love how they did it with a little graphic. You can kind of see what's happening.
Yeah. He took some, like, it was almost like sands of time that was building versions of himself to show the story. That was dope. And you could tell that in this story he had his helmet on.
Oh, they were comic accurate.
Yeah.
They were going full comic accurate. So he's the one who remains. He was the first one. He was the one who discovered that there are universes
overlapping on top of each other,
kind of piling on the top of each other, and essentially, if you think about the origin of how he explained his origin, and compare that to the TVA propaganda video, right? And you do see parallels. Oh yeah, you definitely see where he wrote that. You know what I'm saying, which was cool to see. So he notices this, and he kind of presents himself as a scientist, and notices these parallel universes, makes contact with these different versions of himself.
Right.
And
because once one discovers time, the others in the parallel universes discover that this time. So obviously they're going to, once one opens a door and the other opens a door, they go right next to each other, right?
Yeah.
So then they meet up and they're like, oh, how can we continue this? Because I have thoughts, you have thoughts, even though we're the same, we're different because of our experiences in life on these parallel planes. And then we'll take all this information, and they kept building on it, and it kept getting, bigger and bigger.
Right. He said it started as just like a little narcissistic, little handshake. Oh, that's nice too. Nice.
Right.
And then they kind of started to really coalesce and figure, let's help each other's worlds out. Mm-hmm. You have, what's that? A toaster? Give me that. Show me that. Like,
I'll make a flying toaster.
Exactly. And that's pretty much what they did for how long of a period of time.
Yeah.
But of course, nothing peaceful lasts forever. And then there are variants of Loki's. Wow. There are variants of Kang that were a little bit more devious than others.
Right.
That had more nefarious, intentions.
Yeah.
And essentially started to wipe out the other ones.
Yeah.
So then this is where I believe it kind of starts parallel with the TVA dogma, as he even presented it. Because now you have a multiversal war.
Right.
Which is like, oh, that's why we had all that propaganda. They just needed something to explain that.
It's interesting to find out how much of a war it was.
Yeah.
Right? Like, was it a war, an actual war of worlds, or was it a war of Kangs?
Individuals.
You know what I'm saying? Was it armies fighting armies, or was it just a bunch of Kangs fighting a bunch of Kangs across time? Like, to figure out who would be the superior one and be able to rule all timelines.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could watch that movie.
Yeah.
I could watch that movie right now, and I believe we're gonna. I doubt they're going to let that go stay dormant. But yeah, so after that, they realize that we have a multiverse issue. Mm-hmm. So then the one who remains found a way to. How did he get all of them all together?
They weren't really super specific about that, I don't think.
They weren't, but he pretty much found a way. He pretty much created this singular streamline and found a way to kind of combine everything.
Right, or at least have one that is the main timeline and the other timelines, as long as they didn't get to a point that was going to infringe on the main timeline, they were okay. So, they nipped things that probably were going to lead to another Kang,
right?
Or something that it was going to lead back to him.
A huge part that I almost forgot is the Aight factor, because he actually did.
That's what he used. He found Aight.
He found Aight and started to harness his power and energy.
Right.
And that enabled him to really create the TVA, essentially.
Yeah.
Because he needed somewhere to control these the void, essentially, where he's going to be able to control these all the extra matter from the extra timelines. So that gave us an explanation of Aight. Now we speculated on that last week.
Yeah. We
didn't know exactly where they were going, but knowing from the comics, he definitely Aight was a part of his story as far as not having control, and then eventually learning how to.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And in the comics, Aight was this other being that pretty much Kang was afraid of, and at some point in time, he was able to harness the power of Aight, through the at the Chronopolis. I keep forgetting that word. So it's pretty comic accurate, to an extent.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot more comic accurate than I thought they would be able to get.
Yeah, and the one who remains, or he who remains, was a TVA agent in the comics, right? It wasn't Kang. It was the last TVA agent who was he who remains. And was it a Mobius, or was it? It's a
I'm not sure if it was
TVA
a Mobius.
agent. I don't think it was a Mobius.
And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, the one who remains is not Kang in the comics,
right?
But they use that title and attribute it to him, which makes perfect sense.
Right, because he's not necessary. He's the man at the end of time, so why not, right? Another thing that I saw, and that's them, again melding two different people together, basically for the MCU. The Enchantress, the whole Enchantress thing in with Sylvie, right? She's a Loki, but she's also the Enchantress because her power is enchanting, and that's exactly where they went with it, because even in episode 5, you see on her gauntlets, on her wristbands, she has the circle patterns that Enchantress wears on them. Yeah, and I thought that was cool.
I didn't even notice that. Nice. Yeah, so this is a very important variant. I mean, the one who remains found Alioth, found the TVA. So we do know that this is a very important version that they're meeting today. He's the most knowledgeable. So he knows everything. So that helps. So essentially, here's the idea. This is the TVA. What are you guys going to do? You guys can run it if you want. You know, Sylvie doesn't believe any of what he's saying.
Yeah.
Sylvie's like, no, pretty much you need to die, essentially.
Yeah.
Loki's like, pump the brakes. And then they kind of have a little, you know, their friction kind of gets physical.
Yeah.
Because at some point, Sylvie's like, this is my mission. I'm not really seeing clearly.
I mean, you know, at the beginning, she says that she was pruned before he was even born.
She just,
you know what I'm saying? So she's been at this for a long time. Her mission in her mind for forever has been to get here and kill whoever, you know, pruned me and took me away from, you know, my life.
Yeah.
So I understand her her singular focus, you know, but at the same time, you went through all of these things and then you met this other version of yourself. So you should be able to, you would think that you'd be able to try and figure something else out, or at least listen a little bit. But again, she's been with this guy for what, like a week? She's been by herself for
her life.
For a long time,
She's
guys.
11 years old.
Like a long time. I mean, 11 to a god, you know, a space god. Like what is that really? You know, that's like she was like 1,000. I don't know.
She's not human.
Right. So the amount of time that she's been by herself with this one singular goal, like I can't see her getting that out of her head.
Yeah. Agreed. And even as the one who remains is explaining himself, he's saying, I'm saying the truth. And then there are a couple of lies in there, you know, like he's editing some of the things he's saying, you know, because at some point, you know, a lot of what he's saying isn't that true. He doesn't see all of time. He doesn't see everything, you know.
He saw up to the threshold, right? That moment that they got to where everything basically was out of his control.
Starts branching off, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Loki and Sylvie have a huge intersection because Sylvie doesn't trust Loki. Loki even says, "You can't trust me."
Right. She doesn't trust anyone.
Loki was presented with the desires of his heart, and that can be a very strong reason why he does not want to kill the one who remains. It makes sense. Because the one who remains is offering him power, aka the TVA.
Right.
TVAs, we know from the first few episodes, Loki wanted to take over the TVA. Once he found, is this the ultimate power in the universe? He got hard. He was like, oh.
Yeah. Ronnie, what's up? I wish he turned old when she stabbed him because he was Immortus. And the actor played some of mannerisms as if he was an old man. I don't know if it was old man mannerisms. To me, it was just an
ancient being.
He was just really crazy. You know, he was all over the place. He was scatterbrained. It seemed at some points because you know
he's been through.
He's so much time in space, and he also seemed scared. You know, to some point. But then it's also like it doesn't matter what happens. You know what I mean?
A mixture of all of that.
Yeah.
He spent a good amount of his existence being very sure of himself.
What's up, Ronnie?
What's up? Thank you for being and tuning in.
Sure.
He spent a whole lot of time being sure of himself, and then this part was the most probably unsure part of his life.
Yeah.
Because he's like, you know, it's kind of the dwindling down.
Right.
The Loki thing he didn't expect, and then it kind of took him for a loop. So thank you for that, because that's definitely some good feedback. But like, I think that I think we'll see enough of him to kind of make up for all those little questions.
Oh, we're going to see a ton of Jonathan Majors. And who knows if he's only going to be the next time that we see him, either in season 2 or in Quantumania. He may, for now on, we may see him in every movie popping in and out, and it may not be the same version of him popping in and out.
That is the beauty of it.
Yes, yeah.
and he's the actor to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Not every actor can pull it off. It's like, oh, there's them again.
Yeah.
No, this is somebody who's switching up, and we're gonna start learning how to identify these variants after a while.
Yeah. And again, like they could all be the same. They could all be Kang, or he'll be Immortus sometime. He'll be Ramatut sometimes. He'll be Iron Lad sometimes. He'll be all of those things. It's gonna be super interesting to see, man.
Man, take my money.
Super interesting.
Take my money. Sylvie's like, trying to talk, talk back to the One Who Remains, and One Who Remains is like, pretty much, grow up, Sylvie. He tells her, grow up. Like, we have to. There's a bigger issue here than just your personal beef with what you think is me. Yeah, it's bigger than that. He said, we've all done horrible, terrible things. We're all villains here, which I love that line.
Yeah.
When he said we're all villains here, there were a few lines that he said that just hit me so hard.
Because Sylvie's killed a bunch of people, in pursuit of her mission. Loki's killed a bunch of people just for fun, and he's killed a bunch of people or pruned a bunch of people to get killed by the Void or Alioth. Because he was trying to keep things in order, and he's the dictator that needs to be there, or else it'll be chaos. Is how he explains it. And
he actually says that this is not personal. This is out of necessity as opposed to villainy.
Right.
But he still recognizes that he's done some crazy things. Now these two need to kind of literally fight it out. Because actually a thunder starts to roll, right? So we kind of see the timeline starts to be affected, right? And this is before they need to, Loki and Sylvie come to an agreement of what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Loki is still trying to push Sylvie back. Sylvie is still very emotional, maybe because she's a woman. Oh, I don't want to go there. But
this is live, man. I can't edit this.
No. I usually say something out of pocket every episode that he has to edit. So, no, I mean, Sylvie's convinced that this is another manipulation, and they pretty much go at it. And the fight ends with is they go back and forth. Cool, the fight, whatever. There's a point where she has a kill shot, and they slow it down, and she's about to do the kill shot right on Kang, and Loki teleports himself, and almost takes the blade.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, during this fight, something happens, Blitz, that explains something prior. I don't know if you caught it.
Okay.
He used telekinesis in the fight.
Yes, he did. He pulled her back. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. That's all I needed to know.
Yeah.
Are you telekinetic or not?
Thank
you, Jean Grey.
Apparently he is.
Apparently he's telekinetic.
Yeah, because episode 4, when he, makes that pillar go, I got this, and he makes the pillar go up, and we had never seen him do anything like that before. In a decade of movies, you never seen him do anything.
Nothing like that.
Whatever.
No
guys.
Green energy. Like if his hands had turned green or something, it would have been like, okay, this is power.
He's just give it to him. I'm not gonna harp on it, but guys, come on, man, y'all playing loose with the powers.
Yeah, but I'm glad they did that. That to me, I was like, fine.
An interesting thing about the show is right. I felt like they were introducing Sylvie as perhaps a replacement, right?
You said that,
or a different version, whatever, and they did that. But this was Loki's story, and the way that you know that for certain is because he had a story arc of a character that changed, right? He was the one who couldn't be trusted and became someone who could be trusted. She was the one who didn't trust anybody, and she still don't trust anybody.
True.
So her story arc isn't complete. His is. You know what I mean? Anyway.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. Character study. Sylvie doesn't starting to distrust Loki, of course, a lot more, and they have that little discussion. But he kind of breaks her down a little bit. I'm not that. I'm a different person. I'm a different Loki. Pretty much, you helped me. He wouldn't be able to do that without Sylvie.
Right.
And they have a moment, and they actually kiss.
Yeah.
which I was kind of surprised to see.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely was, as if you follow Aight So Boom, I was never really on the Loki Sylvie romantic bandwagon.
I don't find it creepy at all. There are people like, ew, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
You know, it's not incestuous because
it's not Game of Thrones.
No, I mean,
it's not Cersei but that's another thing. And we mentioned this before. They casted Sylvie very purposefully. They didn't cast a Loki or Tom Hiddleston doppelganger for a purpose,
or
they knew they were
even
going there.
Give her black hair, right? Because they could have done that. They could have even given her black hair to start with as an adult, because they do as a child, but as an adult, and then dyed it, you know. But they decided to, every time we saw her, you know, as an adult, she had the blonde hair. Yeah. And the uncomfortable feeling I felt when she first revealed herself as Loki. Like, Marvel knew that they were making you uncomfortable. Because I was like, nah, this ain't it. I was like, nah. I'm Loki. Nah, no, you're not. I was very disappointed with the show when that happened. But it balanced out. Yep. So, you know, kudos to them for that. So, all right, so they kiss. And, of course, they're doing this right in front of Kang, of course. He's just sitting there like this.
He's just sitting there, right? And just watching the story. And Sylvie approaches him. Loki tries to stop her, but pretty much Sylvie's like, listen, you know, at the end of the day, bro, I'm not you.
Right, facts. our experiences in our lives are not the same.
Right.
You know, I'm not you. I haven't had that growth that you had.
Right.
I haven't gone through, you know, the fights that you've had. My fights were completely different. Right. So
I ain't have my mama.
Yeah.
And she pushes him through a time portal. And he ends up back at the TVA. Then she's facing Mr. Kang here, Mr. One Who Remains, and she takes her blade out and she kills him.
And he's like, I'll see you here later.
And what he says is, I'll see you again soon. Or, I mean, another line that just,
Right. But he's not talking about himself. He's talking about another version of himself.
He actually, he said, it's funny because he did say, yeah, you're right. He said, you'll see me again, but you're right. It is another version of himself. I kind of felt like he was going to be, he said reincarnation, but I'm assuming he's referring to his other, his other self.
If they go through another universe, multiversal war.
Yeah.
And Kang again resets it. Right. Or a Kang resets it and becomes again the one who remains, right?
Right.
Then we're not talking about the same one. We're talking about a different version, as we pretty much see.
Yeah.
When this all finishes out.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. So after he's dead, we really, really find out that the timeline is really just splitting. And this is
once he's dead, there are branches with branches, like there are branches everywhere. It just goes, it just explodes.
Right. And we pretty much see what Miss Minutes was talking about in the TVA propaganda video. The same thing. We see a multiverse of madness.
Well, we see a bunch of branches, right? And it looks crazy to us. But what does that mean?
In the real world.
It doesn't really mean anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's free. It's these people now have free will, right? People have, in all of these different places in these timelines, they have free will to do what they want. And that's not necessarily bad, right? I think what's necessarily bad is somebody who has the ability to know that they're in a multiverse and can use that information and their technology in ways that can hurt people. So the multiverse isn't bad. Kang is bad, right? Or at least versions of Kang is bad. And in having that can affect this chaotic multiverse in a detrimental way.
We don't know how much has been damaged. We don't know them holding it back so long, just letting it go. We don't know what that's going to do, right? Because that's not natural either, right? Nothing is natural that's happening. But I guess this is the best thing that could happen for now. So after this, we see these branches kind of split. We go back to the TVA and they're looking at the monitors like, bad day at work. Like, this is the worst day for the TVA.
Yeah.
Like your job, whatever your job is, whatever crisis you're trying to, avoid at the end of the day, that's in the training manual. This is that day.
Yeah.
This is not a drill. So we see B-15. I'm glad that she's bit the apple, so to speak. She knows the truth. Well, she knew the truth. And now her and Mobius are kind of there, sitting there. And we have Loki in a cell. He kind of gets up at the TVA, not a cell, but he's kind of in a room at the TVA.
Yeah.
He kind of realizes that he's been teleported there. And he jumps, he comes back and finds B-15 and Mobius. Now, this is very important. I don't know if you guys even caught this, because I said that she knows herself. This, we find out as Loki approaches Mobius and B-15. Because Loki approaches them spilling the guts of, this is what just happened. Kang's blah, 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 blah. And they're looking back at him like, what are you talking about? And we realize they don't really know what's happening.
Right. All that we know is that they see the multiverse branching,
And they referred to him as a full-time analyst, as if Loki had been there the whole time. As if they didn't have this, you know what I mean? It was more like, you're just one of our coworkers.
Right.
As opposed to, you're Loki who was working with us.
No, he's like, you're an analyst, right? Who are you? Like, what's wrong?
Right.
Because of how he's dressed.
Right. They see him as just another variant. That's where we learn that something's wrong, and that they pan. And once they pan out, he asks, what division are you from? And he's like, and Loki's kind of look like, what? Wait, how you don't know me?
Yeah.
That's not good. He looks up and sees the outside of the TVA, and where those pillars were with the 3 timekeepers is just a singular figure of Kang.
Yeah.
Possibly a Mortis. We don't know. We'll talk about that in a second, but it's Kang.
Yeah.
It's Jonathan Majors.
Yeah.
So rewind a little bit. Rewind a little bit. Mobius and B-15 are talking, and they're saying, what does he want us to do with these extra timelines, these branches?
Yeah.
What does he want? What does he want? Which is new to us, because they never spoke like that.
Yeah.
It was always, what do they want? What does the timekeepers want? What does at least Ravonna? So that was a little thread that they kind of needled and give this huge reveal at the end that time was affected.
Yeah. And
Kang's in charge.
Yeah. And not that he wasn't in charge before, but now we have a different version of him who's probably a lot worse than
more hands-on.
Yeah, a little bit more hands-on. A version that let's see, what about the broken statue? Did y'all? Yes, we did miss talking about that. And it's really interesting. When they were in the Chronopolis, when they walked in, before they met with Jonathan Majors, before the doors opened up and he came out, there were 4 statues. There were all of the timekeepers and a fourth. There was 3 timekeepers and a 4th statue that was broken, right? So it was interesting to me. Were there timekeepers? Right. Did those 3 beings exist? And he took them out, or was he one of them and he took them out? Because it seemed like it was 4 of them together, and then this last one decided, I don't need these guys, but I'll pretend that like they're still around and take myself out of the equation.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. That I have no idea. And the comics don't really, they're not really going with the comics on that one. No. So that's interesting. Maybe he had these 3 entities watching for him, and I don't know.
Season 2,
right? But we get there at the end. I don't know if you guys even saw, because if you don't watch the credits, you would have missed it. At the last frame of the ending credits, you see a little stamp on a page, and it says Loki will be back in season 2, which is huge. For a Disney Plus show, for this storyline, for everything involved, the MCU involved, having a season 2 definitely raises even more questions.
Yeah. You were always steadfast with the idea that it was going to be like in the comics where there are multiple Mobiuses, right?
Yeah.
So when Loki runs up to B-15 and Mobius, and he's like, they don't know him. when they panned out, right before they showed the Kang statue outside, I thought that they were going to show all the levels of the TVA, and you were going to see Mobius on every floor. You know what I'm saying? But it seems to me like this is our Mobius. His mind's just been rewiped again. Yeah. And you know, we're looking at the TVA agents that we know, but they don't know that they are those people anymore. They think that, you know, the events that have happened within the time that this variant Loki has come in hasn't happened. Yeah.
And it does, you know, I did think we were going to get that moment, but it's possible they just have one variant at a time. And it's possible that then that leads me to think, did they prune Mobius before? And that's why we have multiple rings in the you know, the cup rings. Yeah, because it seemed like there were different Mobius.
That's what it felt like. Or it's the same Mobius, but they continue to wipe his mind
to reset his,
you know, to reset him because he seems like a free spirit who's always going to think outside the box. And get to a place where they got to be like, oh, we got to reset him again. You know, press the button on his back.
And truth be told, Blitz, that's a quality you need for an analyst because you're out here solving straight up crimes. You have your cops who are a little bit more, for lack of a better term, dumb, a little less nuanced, and he has a lot more.
Also, in the ending credits, there was a black hand in the bottom right corner, alluding to Kang watching everything that we were seeing.
That's Kang.
Yeah.
That's Kang. Thank you, Bruce.
That's dope.
That's Kang. That's Kang. And even him being and the funny thing is, because we're black nerds, the fact that it was a black hand spoke volumes in and of itself, because you knew who it was. If it was a white hand, it could have been pretty much anybody.
Kang Power.
Kang Power, man. Special shout outs to Loki.
Word, shout out to Loki. He was a jerk, though.
You like him? He's boastful Loki.
My wife was like, why the black man got to be the one to portray everybody? All these other Lokis have changed. They're kind of good. Oh, man. Loki.
It's all good, man. I still love you, Loki.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I'm really excited for everything that's coming next. Yeah. I'm definitely excited for What If.
Yeah. I read that What If ties into the MCU.
I'm sure it does. It's a multiverse, right? So What If is not really What If, it's what's happening over here. You know what I'm saying?
Insane, bro. Because we were talking about that last week. Once again, we were saying it's cool, but it's funny that because it's not a part of this MCU. Yeah. But the fact that they're able to,
there are a lot of people. Even our co-host, our guest host, Raiden, last week, he was like, "I'm not." It seemed inconsequential to him, right? Because it's not tied in, and this is what everybody loves about the MCU so much, is that everything is cohesive and comes together or meets back with each other. Right. So this cartoon was just something. What if it's kind of like a throwaway? Like we don't need it, And
I would still have enjoyed it thoroughly.
Absolutely. The animation looks amazing. The voice acting is, of course, top notch. They use all the right Substantial. What's up, bro?
Stan.
Substantial could be a variant of Kang. You could, anyway.
Oh, shit.
That
was funny.
So everything about it looks good. But if you actually tie it in, like people are going to love it even more, man. Even more.
Which shows their brilliance, man. They're like, we're not letting any questions, let us know. We're gonna wrap this up. We're about an hour into it now.
We're about an hour in. This was a great one to go over without even reworking the entire season, because we don't really need to, but it was nuts, man. We had a good time reviewing the show. If you haven't seen Aight So Boom before, you can go back and watch. We've been here since the beginning of MCU television time. Started with Scarlet Witch. We did Captain America, Winter Soldier, doing Loki. We'll continue on as well.
Yes. Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, man. He's the one. He's gonna be a big force. You know what this also made me think of was
Stan actually becoming a BlurCon. Shouts to my man So Soon. He's performing there, and I'm trying to make it. So that's tentative.
I'm going to Mexico. Sorry, I won't be there.
Can I stay on your couch, Stan?
But nah, I was gonna say yeah. It made me wonder, now that the multiverse has exploded, right? Yeah. Will we wind up getting Thanos back?
I mean, we're gonna learn,
or you know, a version of Thanos.
Oh, like another version.
Yes, because we had 2 versions in Endgame.
That's your point.
You know what I'm saying? So who's to say that we don't get a young Thanos, or you know, his son Thane, or something that, you know, because he was such a big character that we built up to for so long. This is a way to reintroduce him in some way, maybe without the Infinity Gauntlet. You know what I'm saying? But still a strong force to reckon with.
I do think that I think they're gonna continue Thanos' story in the Eternals, where we learn more of his origins.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get a young Thanos. You say Thanos, I say Thanos. Wait,
is it Thanos or Thanos?
Oh.
One of them's right, one of them's wrong. I'm forgetting. Is it the heart? Oh yeah, you coming to the city? So Sam's coming to New York City. Okay.
Oh man. Okay. You have to be a special guest here.
Oh my goodness.
Here.
You won't even be here.
Wait. No, he's coming later. He'll be here.
Definitely, bro. We'll definitely make sure that you're on this show.
Yeah, man.
Young Thanos may pop up in. That's what I said. Yeah. That's what I said, Bruce. And listen, there's nothing. I mean, we've been doing these edited shows for a while. I personally love the live experience, man. Like, I love the fact that you're asking questions.
I love interacting with the people. I enjoyed the edited shows because I got to do, you know, snazzy tricks with, you know, camera work and throwing stuff on the screen. But this is a lot cooler and it's a lot less work for me. So
shouts to Blitz, man. Dope designer, graphic artist. He could pick up anything. So shouts to him.
Make sure to go to the MCMI Report store, MCMI Apparel, and pick up some MCMI gear. We've got T-shirts, we've got hats coming, a whole bunch of stuff. Other MCMI apparel on there as well. That's really cool. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, please.
Yes.
We are, I think, now 11 subscriptions away from 1,000, which would allow us to do a lot more with the channel.
Yes.
Give you guys some different angles while we're doing this live, some other stuff that we can do. And like the videos, leave comments, because you know we're here for y'all, man.
Please, if you're on this chat, you're definitely on the top of our list. You know, make sure you're subscribed and make sure you're leaving comments that we're very, very grateful for.
Yeah.
That would literally help us do more for you.
Work.
We're not trying to do anything else but to work for the fans. Like this is what we do, man.
Yeah,
we
just love the shit. So, you know, we do this and hopefully some of the information that we give makes it a little bit more enjoyable for, you know, somebody out there.
Especially our black nerds. Talk to us. And if you have friends that you know are in these shows, your kids, I've had parents send me their teenagers.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, they watch this. Send them your show.
Yeah.
So please get involved. We're all community here. Let's just have a good time with it.
King Power.
All
right, guys, I'm LR BLITZKRIEG.
I am the Marksman.
This has been another episode of Aight. So boom. Peace.